everyone, I'm going to be talking about these Marco Renoir Watercolor Pencils. If you just want to see the speed painting though, go ahead and fast forward to 7:25. Hey everyone, it's AJ with Southpaw Creative. How you guys doing today? So I got these Marco Renoir Fine Art 48 watercolor pencils from the company. Thank you so much for sending those to me, guys. And in a separate video, I'll be doing a review and a demonstration on the regular colored pencils from Marco Renoir. So, and they also sent me a nice little lovely pencil wrap. And so this is an interesting little set because it's actually very affordable. So some of you who have commented on some of the more expensive art supplies that I talk about, that I recommend, you know, I understand a lot of you are on a budget. So this would actually be a very good set of watercolor pencils for anybody on a budget. I believe they're about $38 on Amazon at this point in time right now, somewhere between 38 to 40, depending on the algorithm and depending on what time that you visit this video. So one big pro about this is that the shipping, the packaging was absolutely phenomenal. It came in like two sets of boxes. It was wrapped up in bubble wrap. It was really, really nice. So no breakage there, nothing knocked loose. Thank you guys. So I'm going to put that aside here real quick. And it's really, really kind of a cool little set because it opens up, it has this nice little matching painting. So whenever you open it up, you've got these two little trays here. They're plastic. They're kind of flimsy a little bit. That's to be kind of expected with some of these brands. I really haven't found any other brand besides Faber-Castell and Caran d'Ache that actually put metal tins in their sets. So it is what it is. But you know, just be careful whenever you take those out. I want to point out that these do not have color names, and that's kind of a pet peeve with me because I do like to have my color names. However, they do have numbers. And let me show you real quick. So yeah, you got your number right there. And actually, no, I'm sorry. This is the, I guess it's the code, the 3120. I guess it's the code for the product. The actual numbers right here. You got your Aquarelle watermark there. I got a UPC code, but whatever, you know, it is what it is. And they're actually very, very nice. They come in these nice cedar wood casings, and they're coated and lacquered on the end. And I do like how they give you a nice big part of the barrel where it shows you the color. This is the color chart for all 48 colors. I am going to show them to you up close. Let's see if I can actually just zoom in a little bit. There, that's better. Much, much better. We're going to turn away this outlight. It is really, really bright. So as you can see, this is on cold press Master's Touch watercolor paper. It's not my favorite color paper, but or my favorite branded paper, but it's good for color charts. It does show that there are some residual lines. The only brand I have found that actually dissolves entirely is the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer. And those are the really expensive watercolor pencils. So some of the residual lines are to be expected a little bit. I am, however, a little turned off by that. I'm going to be very honest with you. I mean, this is an honest review. I'm not going to say anything that I don't feel is appropriate or inappropriate. So I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. The pigments of the warmer colors and the pigments of the purples and the violets and blues are very nice. They're very well pigmented. However, the greens and the turquoises, which, you know, I thought, you know, they would be a little bit more pigmented, but I worked with them on a portrait, and I actually used the paintbrush to the tip technique. Here's a little example. I'm just going to show it to you. You see how the paint has been, like the pigment has been spread? That was my paintbrush, and that's basically what I did. Was I would take a little bitty brush and just do it like that, and then flick it into my palette. So it actually worked out the pigment very well in that manner. Much more so than I did whenever I was, like, you know, direct contact to paper and then adding the water to activate the color. So, you know, judging by the color chart, I know some of these look very questionable as far as the pigment goes. Of course, these are lighter shades right here. These are like the grays and everything. But I was not happy when I first saw that these colors right here were just, they were very, very, very light in pigment. But you know what? They actually worked out pretty well. I'll show you what I mean, and you'll get to see the painting demo. But the earth tones are very nice, by the way. Like, you've got a nice selection. Take, for instance, you've got 4 different shades here, and at first I thought, gosh, you know, these are very similar in appearance. They kind of look like a raw sienna and a burnt sienna, and but whenever I actually use them on the chart, you can see those are the 4 colors, and they do differentiate. They just, the lacquer isn't necessarily always true to color, but I found that it was more true to color with the vibrant tones and with the warm tones and cool tones, but with the earth tones, they just didn't seem to match up very well. But that's a good thing in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I created with it, and you're going to see a painting demo of it. There's this art exhibit this weekend. It's a Sherlock Holmes themed art exhibit at the Science Center. So I went ahead and did a portrait of Benedict Cumberbatch, who is amazing and awesome, and the show was awesome. And so it was really nice to be able to rewatch the show and really get into it while I painted. And I'm going to zoom in here and see if you can see the eyes here. So some of those, the same watercolor pencils that you're seeing here were actually used on the irises of the eyes and around this area. I did add some cypress green gouache on the very edges here, but I mostly used, I believe it was this color right here, okay, and a couple of these lighter shades right here I mixed in because his eyes are extremely light, so it actually worked out really, really well. And then I used some of those the yellows and the earth tones around the parts of his eyes that actually have some gold in them. So you'll get to see a painting demo of this, and most of the skin tones, okay, the skin tones were very awesome, actually. I was very surprised because whenever I first saw those pinks, I thought those are going to be too vibrant probably, but they actually worked out really, really well. So I'll go ahead and show you that painting demo. I hope you enjoy this. Hello, welcome to the voiceover. So I'm going to let you know just real quick that there is a con with this one. Again, it's that these are not open stock, unfortunately. I do believe that they're a fairly newer company, but they are really, really nice people. So I'm sure that if they do have open stock, they will let you know how you can order those on either through the distributors or through some kind of contact that you can get through YouTube or something. So it's not necessarily an impossibility, but I definitely know that they're not in stock in the store. However, for the quality that you get with these, for the money, I think you know, it'll speak for itself. It's a good set of pencils to have. It's a great set to start with, especially whenever you're unsure if you want to really get into watercolor, because the best thing about that is that you can transition from watercolor pencils to watercolor, which myself, coming from a color pencil background and graphite background, I was really into the idea of being able to control all the details with my work. And the thing is that with watercolor, a lot of people jump right in and they have trouble transitioning because watercolor is very based on being able to kind of let go and at the same time learning to control the watercolors. So, you know, controlling the pigment is definitely something that can be mastered over time. Of course, I haven't mastered it yet, but I mean, you know, you get better at it just like anything else whenever you practice. So these pencils will be able to aid you in using them in multiple ways, like pencil to paper and then adding in water like they traditionally are used, or as I use them with the paintbrush to the pencil tip and then activated the pigment that way. I ended up using a lot of the flesh tones and actually some of the earth tones for the eyebrows, the umber, and I believe it was the yellow ochre. Now what you're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen with the little pans, those are gouache, and those were used later on. I didn't actually use them as much as I thought I would, but I mentioned that I had the cypress green on the very, very edges of the eyes. It was just to kind of, I'm a real big fan of contrast, so those extra little things really make the contrast pop out. And so even though I could have done that with these pencils just fine, I did find that the umbers, the dark browns, were a little bit less pigmented than I wanted them to be. They could have been darker. However, the upside to this is the fact that his skin tone is so pale. The flesh tones worked really well, and the violets and purples worked in conjunction with that as the midtones and shadows. So I really didn't have to work into any warm tones or anything like that with his skin. The yellow ochre actually worked out really well for his freckles. Just I added in a few of those. It was so much fun being able to paint him for the very first time. He has such a distinctive face and facial features that it was just a lot of fun to be able to work with. And I actually find that whenever people have very distinct faces and very distinctive facial features, that it's actually more interesting and less of a challenge. Actually, not that I don't mind a challenge, but I find that people who have very interesting faces are really easy to paint because it's almost like once you get the eyes down, then everything kind of falls into place after that. People with very soft facial features or that tend to have more quote normal looking facial features, whatever you want to call that, that tends to lend towards more of a challenge because it's easier to mess up, I guess. Hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully that you artists out there understand what I'm getting at that are portrait artists. So I eventually went back towards the eyes and worked in some more darker tones and in the crevices there. And I started to use these for the background. I did implement some Sennelier and some Dr. Martin's concentrated watercolor to be able to kind of bring out his face later on, which you'll see in the end. And so I'm coloring in these pastel colors, which didn't actually work out. And I actually ad-libbed the hair in because in my reference photo, his hair was slicked back. It was a studio session. He wasn't actually in costume for Sherlock. So I actually just went ahead and looked at as you can see there, there's my reference photo of him. But you can see that he didn't have any of his hair hanging down in the front the way that he does with his character Sherlock. So I went ahead and ad-libbed the hair and painted it freehanded and just sort of looked at a reference photo of him dressed up as Sherlock and was like, okay, well, that's pretty easy. So these were a lot of fun to paint with. I wouldn't say that they're going to be my top watercolor pencils, but they definitely are good for practicing and sketching, and I do believe that those of you who are budget conscious will really find them to be enjoyable. If you can, just get yourself a set of these for a decent price, and then you can build up with the extra expensive ones through open stock. I hope that you found this very, very enjoyable and that I haven't blabbed too much. So if you have any comments or questions, if you want to subscribe, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate all your support. You guys are awesome, and I wouldn't be able to do this without you. Honestly, truly, I wouldn't have the motivation to do it without you. I try to make videos every week, at least 1 to 2 videos. It would be lovely to be full-time in the future. It's just a juggling act at this point. So I really appreciate all of your support. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye.